Okay, another edition of Pat's Personal Portraits. And I try to bring in people either that you've met before and you think you know, but somewhere in our conversation you discover new things, or somebody that you've never met before. If you know Ben Tyler, it's either as a result of a comic at the NFL club in the West Valley, right? Yeah. Stand-up comedy, improv group, an actor. And, I mean, you are really one of the working actors around here that seems to be constantly in some production. I
do my best. And I also direct a little bit.
Yes. Anything to make a couple of bucks.
You bet.
To help raise the family. The playwright thing, though, that's of interest to me because one of the plays that you wrote has to do with a part of my life, the Wallace and Ladmo Show. And you were a part of that, too.
Yes, I was.
So when you write something like this, though, when you write something that is a part of Arizona history, I dare say, was on, for those of you who are not part of Arizona history, was on television on Channel 5 for 36 years, 10,000 shows. When you write something like that, and everybody who has been here during part of that time has been acquainted with it, sometimes very closely on a daily basis, what kind of a responsibility is it to stage something like that everybody thinks that he knows already in front?
Well, I can tell you that was the hardest thing in writing the Wallace and Ladmo Show, the stage play, the Wallace and Ladmo Show, was trying to figure out how to tell something that lasted for 35 years, because there was just no way to fit that into 2 hours and a 10-minute intermission. So there was too much material, and the idea was wading through everything to get to what was the essence of the story, because with a play, you really can't be. You're not really. You're trying to give the essence of the story. You really can't tell it exactly how it was. So, as you know, what I finally landed on was the story of the rise and fall of Hubcap and the Wheels.
The rock and roll group that started as a kid show's character and wound up on Capitol Records and all those network shows.
But like any play, I think it has to be something about. It needs to be about something more than just the surface story. And to me, I think what we ended up with, which I was really pleased with, was something more than just a nostalgic, piece of theater about, oh yeah, the Wallace and Ladmo Show, I remember that. It was the story, and this is kind of odd talking to you about this because you are the subject matter of this, was this notion of what is the big time and how do we measure happiness in our lives? That's a much broader subject that goes beyond the boundaries of Wallace and Ladmo, that anyone, even folks who have never laid eyes on Wallace and Ladmo before, can understand.
And why you decide to stay in what is now a very large and dynamic market.
Yes, Phoenix, but in 1964 Arizona. It wasn't.
Yeah, but there were so many other things that you've written about. And by the way, we should acknowledge the fact that as self-serving as this is, that the play happens to be going on at the Foothills, the Desert Foothills Theater, right?
That's correct, Desert Foothills Theater.
And that's an arts center in Carefree?
Yes, it is.
And so to find out dates and times and all of the rest of it, you have to probably check in on the website, which is
CentennialTF.com. The TF is for Theater Foundation. The name of the organization is Centennial Theater Foundation, and the address is centennialtf.org. If I said .com, I meant .org. We're not a theater company. We are a development and funding organization. This is the first project we've taken on. We're co-producing this with Desert Foothills Theater and Actors Theater. So there's 3 of us involved in this.
But it's all because the Centennial is going on.
Bingo.
And some group of Centennial people said, okay, what was funny for almost 100 years, the Wallace and Ladmo Show. But the other play that I associate you with also is such a hunk of Arizona, and that is the one-man show about Barry Goldwater.
Right, and we hope that that's going to be going up in May at a location to be announced.
Another example, though, of sitting in the audience and having people say, well, wait a minute, hold it. I was around when Barry was the senator from Arizona, and then they have an opinion about the performance.
That is the kind of history that I personally like a lot. And it sounds a little bit counterintuitive to say contemporary history, but history that took place within the living memory of people is something that I really find fascinating.
And difficult.
Yeah, and difficult because it is something that people remember and lived. Just as the Wallace and Ladmo Show. You know, my biggest fear when we put up the Wallace and Ladmo Show is I knew that we would have people come out of curiosity because of the title, people that were fans, and that they might look at that and think, oh, that's not really how the Wallace and Ladmo Show was. Who do these people think they are?
Yeah, but what happens when it doesn't work, Ben? What happens when you've got...
When that happens, I'll let you know.
Wait, now, you have been very fortunate. Truly.
I have been very fortunate, and knock on wood.
Those plays, along with The Gov, and that was a comedy show about the Meekum era.
Yes,
right?
A review, yeah.
And you ever think about bringing that back? Because I don't know whether you've noticed it or not, but there's still laughs coming from the Capitol.
Oh my gosh. Yes, actually, and you're not the first person to ask me about that, but you know, getting back to what you were saying about people anticipating things, when we did the Goldwater play, and Goldwater himself came to see it, and his wife and his kids, and they came up to me afterwards, not Barry so much, but his wife and kids, and said, "That's him. That you really captured that on stage." I mean, I can't tell you what that's like.
Screenplays, different than writing for the stage?
Absolutely, and you know, you have limitations in what you can do on stage as opposed to film. But in many ways, I feel as a playwright that those limitations force you to be more creative. You know, in the Goldwater play, at one point, he says to the audience that he wants to get in an airplane and fly over Vietnam and show people the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Well, in a film, he'd get in an airplane and he would actually be flying. In the play, he points at his desk and he says, "This is a twin-engine Beechcraft Bonanza." And he sits behind the desk and pushes a button, and you hear the airplane start up, and he takes off, and you know the audience will go with that. They don't expect reality in a play like that, and it's a wonderful thing.
Hey, finally,
yeah,
the reality is that with moms and dads right now watching, and grandmas and grandpas,
yeah,
and they have somebody in the family that aspires to be a playwright. I'm not asking you whether you recommend it. But what is that first step that you can take? Is there something academically that you can do that gives you an edge?
Well, certainly, and you know, I'll tell you the way that I picked up on playwriting was reading plays. I read plays like crazy. It is a very unique style of writing, and of course, yes, there are education. Taking playwriting courses is definitely recommended.
But are there any little theaters around here in the immediate community that would take a chance if somebody wrote something that really was quite good? Can you take it to somebody's theater and say, would you put this on the stage?
There are a few, but not many. But I'm glad you brought that up because that is what Centennial Theater Foundation is all about.
Oh.
We are soliciting scripts that say something about Arizona. They don't have to be historical, but they need to say something about Arizona, the region, its people, the flavor of what is Arizona. And we are accepting submissions. You can go to the website and submit them there. And if we like it, if we think it has promise, we will develop that script through staged readings that we're taking around the state. And then once we've done that, we're offering it up to local theater companies and saying, look, if you want to produce this, we will not only develop the script for you, but we'll financially kick in money to make it happen.
I didn't know that. If your kid, by the way, comes to you and says, listen, I've got an idea for a show, and one of the lines is to be or not to be, try to discourage him from using that material. It's been taken.
It's been done.
And this is the Ben Tyler segment of what is a regular feature here on KTAR.com, Pat's Personal Portraits.